good morning. It's a beautiful morning here, so I hope it's not too bright and you can see what I'm doing. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm from Gemini Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm based in Brackley in the UK. Morning Carol, Molly, Julia, good morning. So today I thought Monday morning, nice and easy, we'll do some straightforward stamping and some colouring in, exactly as we would at Coffee and Card at our normal location. And I thought I'd ink up a brand new stamp set, well, new to me. It's in the annual catalogue. It's called Flowering Blooms, as you can see, and it features these really detailed floral images. So you've got two sets of flowers, and then you've got this beautiful sort of run of buds, and then some foliage, and then you've got three sentiments: I move beyond words, thank you, and your kindness is so appreciated. It's one of our distinctive stamps, so it does all of the work for you in terms of colouring, which is always good. And I've chosen to do a couple of different colour combinations this morning. One will be Mango Melody, that's to keep Carol Wincott happy. Morning Jacqueline. Molly Tracy. So because Carol's a bit of a yellow and orange girl. And then for my second card I'm going to go Highland Heather, and for the leaves and foliage I'm going to use Old Olive. So this was my first out of the box created card. So just straightforward, all I've done is stamp this image on here in Early Espresso, and then I've coloured this one in with Magenta Madness, layered it onto Magenta Madness and popped it onto a note card, and then I've stamped the buds, the smaller flowers rather, on the envelope and also on the inside, and you can see the detail even just of that. So I'm going to recreate that one first and then do a larger card with the Highland Heather. So that's the stamp set itself. We put that to one side. Morning Moretta. That's okay, Carol. So I'm using our note cards and envelopes. So these come as a pack of 20, all ready to go. They're scored, they're not folded, they come flat, but it's very easy to fold them down, and they come with lovely Whisper White envelopes. So I'm using Mango Melody as a backing, and then I'm going to stamp onto this piece of Whisper White. This measures 3 inches by 4.5 inches. And I'm going to use, as I said, Early Espresso. You could obviously use a black ink or dark grey ink. With this one, if you've got quite dark pens, you do need the detail of a darker ink. I did try it with a lighter one, but it lost all this detail as soon as I started colouring in, so I abandoned that and redid it. So let me ink up this one in Early Espresso, and you can see the detail of that stamp as you ink it up. I hope everybody had a lovely weekend. It was certainly very warm here, as it is today. Just going to pop this fairly centrally on here. Obviously you could have it at an angle and have 2 in there if you wanted to, but I'm just going to keep this one straight forward. Just going to stamp it fairly straight on there. Because I'm using note card size, there's not a huge amount of space to play with. So just nice even pressure all the way around, like so. And then if I lift that up, you can see the detail of that. I think you could create some really lovely, stunning cards just with it like that, especially if you did it on vanilla. It'd look like the old-fashioned sort of botanical prints, wouldn't it? It looks like I've got nail varnish on, but I haven't. That's ink, that is, or blends pen. Okay, so I'm going to add the thank you. Let me just wipe my stamp off. Morning, Jill. Morning, Jeanette. Jill, I gather that what was 185 has potentially reopened, so I might have to hop along and have a look. Okay, and I think I'm going to do my thank you on here also in early espresso. So I'm just going to try it out on here to see how straight I've got it. Yep. And this one I'm going to do down to the right. Just to be slightly different. There we go. Nice sort of curly thank you. Okay, so for this one I'm going to use Mango Melody light and dark and Old Olive light and dark for the colouring. So for those of you that may not have seen how our blends pens work, we have a light and a dark, and it's written on the side, each one, and each pen has a narrow tip and a broad tip, and I use the narrow tip most of the time, so I know that if I read the title, then I know that that is the side I'm going to open. So basically what allows you to do is do a spread of the light colour and then a spread of the darker colour. I do that here. Okay, and then where these two meet, you can blend the two together. Oops. Just going to go back over with the light one. And you'll see that that line between the two just disappears and they fade into each other really nicely. It's more pronounced obviously when they're brand new, but you can see here the dark to the light on Highland Heather. So I always recommend just trying your pens out before you start, just to make sure that they've got enough ink and everything in it. So what I'm going to do is start with my dark one. Yes, they've completely revamped it, Jill, so maybe we could have a socially distanced meet there later this week. So all I'm going to do is I'm taking the darker one, and for this sort of area I tend to use that fine tip, but it is entirely up to you. Oops, that's a leaf. So I'm using the guidelines that the Stampin' Up illustrators have provided us with, which makes my life a lot easier. Okay, so I'm just sort of brushing it to get the effect of the veins, like so. And also so I haven't got any harsh lines at the end. This is quite a well used dark Mango Melody. So add some more in here. And then these are all leaves. This one, this one, this one. And everything else I'm assuming is going to be my flower, and in this case my bud, like so. Obviously I can go back and add more in as well, and then a little bit in this centre piece here. Obviously you can use multiple colours as well, you don't have to stick to one colour. You could have light going into orange, for example. Hello Linda, thanks for joining us. So this is the light one, and because I want to cover a large area, I can use the wider tip here and just go over like so, and I'm leaving the very ends because I'm going to use the fine tip for those. I find I'm less likely to go over the edge. You could also leave a little bit of white to give it some depth, so don't feel you have to colour every single little bit of space in, like so. So just leave some gaps. And in fact, because of the shading, most of that blending has actually been done for you. So I'm not having to do much blending of the two colours together, if that makes sense, because the majority of the work has already been done. Let's just have the light one in there. So there's my main flower. This is the Magenta Madness one as a comparison. Then I'm going to use my old olive, good old olive. This is the light one, and again, because Stampin' Up illustrators have done such a good job in the design, you don't even need two colours of green, because the shading does the work for you. Okay, so a little bit on this stalk, like so. There we go. Simple colouring in. Let me just grab the piece that's dropped on the floor. Ooh. Not really the place I need to be, is it? Okay, so that is going to go onto there, onto my note card. Let me leave that there for 1 second. So I'm going to stamp the inside of my note card. This time I'm actually going to stamp just this very top bit of the flower, and again I'm going to do it in early espresso. So with our pens, the blend pens, as I say, you can use our standard colour inks. You don't have to use Memento. You could use a grey, basic grey, or grey granite. Okay, so this time I'm just going to add just this little corner of the flower. Now somebody did work out what flower this is. So it's I was going to say it's almost like a rose, but it isn't, because I'm only thinking the bud because of the shape of the leaves and the petals. And I'm going to do the same for my envelope. Why not? Just so pretty. So this is our note card size. So just having that coming in from the side. There we go. Nice even pressure. And there's that one. Now if I wanted to, I could colour this envelope in. I'm not going to colour this one in because the blends pen, where you've added a lot of ink, will bleed through, and what I don't want it to do is come through on the back of the card. So I tend to leave this one plain. I could do the envelope. What I'm going to do is just layer these up together, and I'm going to add a little bit of bling to this, I think. So this, as I say, straightforward stamping, colouring. If you don't have blends pens, you could use watercolour pencils or marker pens. Just got ink on that. How did I manage that? So, because I inked up on here, it's not on my hands, I turned my card over and I picked up some of the ink. So I'm going to do a bit of splatting. Let me find what I'm after. I can think of the name of it. Forever. That's it. Forever Fern. It's got this little splat on it. So, rather than try and get rid of that excess ink, I will add some splats to it. There we go. So where you've got these small little stamps, just watch that you don't over ink them. It's very easy to press them too hard and catch the edges. Okay. So just light tapping, not too light. So I'm just dotting it around. You could stamp it off as well if you wanted to. There we go. Covered. Okay, let's turn this over before I do it again. Oh, got cookies on there. Okay, that is going to go onto the front of our card. Two, three. There we go. So I've just got my finger underneath it until I've got it where I want it. Okay, press down on the left hand side and then let go. There we go. So there's our first card design using flowering blooms. Okay, and you can see how this definition has been built up by the illustrators. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do a little bit stepped up, slightly larger version, and I'm going to do this in Highland Heather, and I've got this lovely triple coloured ribbon which consists of purple posy, Highland Heather and gorgeous grape. Just love that. And I decided to use a layer behind of Highland Heather that I put through the Old World paper embossing folder, which is this one here. Really is stunning. This is the one I actually used on Friday when I did the boat one, the yacht and everything, because it does look a bit like sea. You've got the emboss side and then you've got the deboss side. So it's very clever, really textural, that one. Okay, so that's going to go on there. I stamped this one earlier. So what I'm going to do is colour it in. I'm going to wrap some ribbon round and then add a sentiment. Now I'm not quite sure how I'm going to place that. So let's do some colouring in first. Let me move this out of the way. I brought the gorgeous grape ink to do the sentiment. just to tie it all in together. So I've got light and dark Highland heather, and that's these colours here that you can see. I may or may not need to use the dark one. Let's just try it. So this is the dark. So I'm just going to add the dark where those, basically where those shaded lines are. Using a slight brushing motion so it's sort of coming away from the edge, as opposed to having a sort of flat edge, if that makes any sense. It is Monday, so to be honest, it may not make any sense at all. There we go, a little bit in there, behind these darker leaves. Petals, I should say. Okay, let's have a look at that. Let's do the bud as well. And then this is the light one, so I can use the broader tip because I'm covering a bigger area. And again, you can leave some a bit of white space, some highlights. This would be a great stamp to do a whole series of thank you cards, for example, or birthday cards in lots of different colours. It would make a good sympathy card as well, I think. Especially if you did it on very vanilla, or on a piece of vellum, or added a layer of vellum on the top. That would look really nice. Oops. There we go. So I'm just going to leave that little bit of white around there. I think that's a petal in there, and then just use the very tip of it for that. There we go. Bit of the old olive. So I'll say a lot of the shading is done for you, so I'm only going to use one of the shades on here because it sort of makes it light and dark in its own right. As I say, you could use watercolour pencils. If you're applying water, then you'd need to use stays on ink. There we go. Cute. Right, let's have a look and see where we might wrap this round. So I've got two choices really. One is to have it covering the bottom of the stem, and the other is to have it further down. So what I'm going to do is create it here with a little bow and then move it up and down as I need it. Such pretty ribbon. So pretty. So I'm just tidying that bow down a little bit because you want it in keeping to the size of the flower. Okay, let me trim that off for the minute. So this is called tricolour ribbon, and it's got our three colours in it. Oh, how exciting! Oh, you're actually going, Jill. I don't know where Southwell is. Hi, Abby. Hi, Jane. Where is Southwell Racecourse then? I have no idea. Is it a longer distance as well for her? Because I know that she suits longer distances, doesn't she? There we go. Let's tidy this up a bit smaller. Sorry, I know my hand is in your way. I do apologise. So make sure when you're cutting ribbon that the scissors are nice and sharp. Okay, so I could do that with my sentiment underneath, or I could do that with the sentiment between the two. Take that out of the way. We layer it onto here and then we can decide. So do you think the ribbon should be high or low? Perhaps you could let me know what you think. Oh, Nottingham. Okay, that's not too bad. Hi, Claire. Well, I had my fingers crossed for you. So I'm hoping that your kindness is so appreciated might fill across the bottom. Let's have a look and see. I have cut this piece down a little bit. Yep, it will just fit. Let's put the label on that one while we're deciding. Moretta Jeanette says low. Carol says on the stem. So I've got 2 versus 1 at the minute. Let's put this label on this stamp. So if you haven't seen me do this before, I take half of the label off the back of the sticky on the stamp. Position this over the top, place it down, like that, and then you can peel this away from the backing, like that, and then let this rest, like that. What you don't want to do is try and pick this up and force it onto there. That's when it gets wrinkled up. So I've still got I've got 2 lows, 2 highs now. Okay, let's have a look with this sentiment. I think this sentiment might determine the change. So there's that. Or that. Oh, excellent, Jill. I think I'm going to do this high, otherwise it looks like I've sort of added it on without thinking about it. Whereas that way, that's sort of contained. So, sorry. Anybody who wanted it low. Jeanette. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this in Gorgeous Grape. Let me bring my piece of paper back. Find my ink pad. Good, well done, Moretta. So, let me have a look. So when you get a new stamp, make sure you stamp it off first, just to make sure that you've got rid of any sort of surface protection. Okay, yeah, definitely going at the bottom. So just make sure it's nicely inked up. I have got that on the very edge, but I think I'll be alright if I don't press it too hard. And if I do, it'll be a strip on top instead. Okay, so I hope you can see that. So, there we have it. Right, let's move that one out of the way. And obviously you don't have to have a full-on bow. You could just have a little knot if you wanted. But that looks rather sweet, doesn't it? With a little bit of texture on here. So let's put these together. I'm not going to make the mistake I did last time. Get ink over it. You could obviously add the splatters to that in the Gorgeous Grape or even Highland Heather, but if you like a nice crisp clean look, then there's no need. So coming around the ribbon like so, let's put a little bit in the middle. So this is going on the one that I've run through the embossing machine. So my new embossing machine from Stampin' Up is arriving today. So I'm very excited to be able to use that. There we go. And this then is just going to go onto a white card. So I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm using Seal Plus, so it's really strong, which will be fine because I've got the embossing folder. Obviously that makes it a very uneven surface, but the Seal Plus is really good at sticking. So just positioning that where I want it, like so. Let's fold this up. I know that's nice and clean. Turn it over and use my bone folder on the back. There we have it. I think I'm going to stamp on the inside. Yes, I think if it's a smaller strip it would have been different. So I think what I might do is I might just put this on the inside, this pretty little item here. So this would be a good stamp set for beginners because it's very minimal colouring in. Take the back off that. I won't bother putting the label on just with this one, but I will do it afterwards. And I might just do this in Gorgeous Grape. Let's have a look and see what it looks like. Yeah, it's very pretty. I think you could even sort of do one top and bottom, couldn't you? There we go. Sweet. And obviously you could do that on the envelope as well. And let's have a look for a little bit of bling. I don't think this one necessarily needs any bling, but we just could, couldn't we? Let's see what we've got. Whew. Right. So that is the right colour. And I know this is Bumblebee, but I think that would look nice with our Mango Melody. Or I could use some of the sequins. Or I could just use plain ones, of course. So I'm going to use these. So these are the Noble Peacock ones. Sadly, they're no longer available because they're such a lovely set of colours. But I might as well use them up, mightn't I? Well, they're there. So there's that one there with 3 on. And here is my Mango Melody one. Now, I know I've only got 2 on here, but I know I have some more. But I could do one of those and 2 of those. So one is cinnamon cider, and then the other 2 are Bumblebee, but it's close enough to mango in this case, in my opinion. And then I've got this one here, my Magenta Madness. So I have one of those, like so, and I'm going to borrow 2 green ones from here. It's a bling sort of day. There we go. And that's used up the odd Magenta Madness one. So there we go. 3 cards. Well, 2 cards really, because one was my see how it looks card. So let me show you those in detail. So this was our first one. Just using light and dark Mango Melody. I stamped this one inside and that on the envelope, and then I got some ink on it, so I added splats. And then this one is the one I've just done now, using light and dark Highland Heather. Use the matching trio ribbon, sentiment from the same set, and then I've just used 3 gorgeous grape gems to go with that. And then on this one I've added that pretty little set of flowers on the inside. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll be back again tomorrow. So Tuesday we meet here at 3 o'clock, and all being well, Mr. UPS provided, I'll have my new embossing machine, so I will show you that as part of the session tomorrow. And don't forget, my class in a box is now open, so I've had some nice bookings for that. Thank you so much. And there's a choice of papers this time. You can either have the plaid set or the standard regals, entirely up to you. Details are on my Facebook page here, but if you want any more information, it's £20 for the pack, and that's delivered to you. Just message me and I'll talk you through and send you some photos. So there we go. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you have a good day. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Moretta. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Jeanette, Carol. Yes, it's one of those, you know, easy to use stamp sets, and I'm a big fan of those, I have to say. So thanks for joining me. I hope to catch up with you tomorrow or on replay. If you're watching on replay, feel free to message me or comment, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Take care and look after yourselves, look after each other, and stay safe, keep crafting. Thank you. Bye bye.